Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's FPV podcast. This week, we're putting back on a pilot that's really hot right now, and he's kind of gotten a monkey off his back. We're going to get to talk to him about a couple of races that he's been to and what he's been doing. But before we introduce him, Elvin, what do you got?
Hey, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying your weather. The weather's changing up here in the great Northwest, but we're still rolling them big hills with them long, distant lines and having fun flipping and flopping all over the place. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. And we here at FPV Podcast, we really appreciate all of you guys. And we look forward to giving you guys some more input soon.
All right. Sounds good. All right. Evan Turner, he's been on the podcast before. We're just catching up with him now recently with his great win over at MGP IO. Evan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be back, guys.
All right. So, Evan, at MGP IO, when you got there for the first day, what were you thinking?
Well, so I actually had to go up Thursday night, which is about a day later, and I got up there night. So those guys had 2 days of practice on that course of the IO World Cup specifically. So I was kind of worried because I only had 1 day left to qualify. I was kind of started out in the hole, so everybody had way more practice on me. So I went up there, and I got up there just in time for them to start putting the lights up on the World Cup track. So I went over there, and I saw these guys just completely ripping it on those tracks. So I was pretty worried, honestly. But I got out there, and and after my first pack, I didn't have a very good first pack. I was still trying to learn the track. So I got even more worried. But after pack 6, I was the TQ, so that gave me some confidence, I guess you could say, to be able to go up there and do well. And after just a little bit of practice,
Right.
But yeah, going up there with a day late was definitely something that worried me. But I got in the groove of it pretty quick, and I got some confidence that going into that night.
So, like, how many laps were you getting per pack?
I think we were doing, when I was going slower, I was able to finish the 4th lap. But when we got going faster and we were trying to just knock off those half seconds, we were only able to finish 3. So I was just doing 3 and landing.
So, like, the first, would you say 6 packs? So 6 times 4 packs. That's not a bad amount of time to take you to learn and conquer a track, man. That's
like I said, I was able to become TQ after flying 6 packs of practice, and those guys were a little bit upset. I remember getting yelled at a little bit by, but yeah, it definitely that's something I practice here at home, is flying a new track every day and just adapting as fast as I can. So really, it only took me about one pack to get acquainted with everything, and then by pack 2 I was able to start focusing on lines and really starting to try and up my time.
What would you say is your kind of standard for learning a track? Is the first pack slow and easy as you learn the track itself, and then by the second pack, if you think you've got it down, you start turning it on?
Well, really, I typically, if I know the course, I have to usually, when I get to a race, I watch at least one person fly the course, or if they'd release it on the sim or something, I fly it on there. And so I typically, it takes me about 1 lap just to kind of see where everything is. And then from there, usually I can just start going. And I know some guys like to take the first pack or even 2 packs nice and slow. But I usually just take the first lap nice and easy and then just start going up from there.
Okay.
Nice.
Like, when you're watching through somebody else's goggles, is it somebody that you, like, already know, or is it just anyone that you can start learning the track?
Yeah, I typically, I know most of the guys through multi-GP and things like that. And I've met a bunch of guys doing all these races. So in each heat, I typically know who I like to watch and who is good at, I know who's good at what. And it really, I try and watch as many people as I can, because I know that some guys have really good lines. Some guys have a unique way of doing each part of the track and things like that. So I try and watch as many of the pilots as I can. And sometimes even watching like the slower guys is helpful too, because sometimes they have more interesting lines that maybe they're going slower, but their lines are better. So if you can watch that and translate their lines into a faster flying, then they can actually help you more than the faster guys who are blowing out turns and things like that. So I try and watch a diverse speed of guys and things like that.
Yeah, that is pretty awesome. Now, when you say you watch everybody, is this like part of your learning routine? It seems like it is.
Yeah. Watching is definitely something that I take into account before even flying at all. It's definitely part of me learning the track and helps me not having to waste 2 packs on just going nice and easy. I try, and that's the reason I don't do GoPro practice and things like that for my YouTube channel and things, is I take every lap like it's my last one. Like I try and take every lap seriously. So I
Nice.
think if I'm able to watch and be as prepared as I can beforehand on that track, then I won't be wasting, quote unquote, wasting laps on trying to get acquainted to the course. So the less time I'm wasting trying to get acquainted, the more time I can focus on my actual lines and different things like that.
That's pretty awesome. Now, let me talk to you about being the TQ top qualifier, because obviously you get that title quite a lot. Is that a lot of pressure for you? Because once you get TQ, everybody's going to be hunting after you, and of course, they're going to start talking to you. What is it like to be?
Oh yeah. I've definitely experienced the TQ curse, where like they say the TQ can never win. But I've been TQ before, and I know how to handle myself. So I try and be as humble as possible and stuff like that. But it really comes down to race strategy when it comes down to racing, and just don't let anybody get into your head. And I've had people try and get in my head before, and nobody's done it yet. So I think that being able to just brush off anything and not really take anything seriously, or as far as just like talking to people, like take the racing seriously, but if people are trying to get in your head, just trying to blow them off and just treat it like any other normal conversation, then I'm able to handle that pretty well, I think. But it's definitely extra pressure, and Scully definitely takes advantage of it. He's always talking who's the TQ and things like that. So it's added pressure, but at the same time, it's definitely added motivation to kind of prove yourself. And going out there, it's good motivation to know that you're the TQ or whatever, and it feels good. So it has its downsides and its upsides, but I like it. I prefer being the TQ. I wouldn't rather be like second or third just so I wouldn't get that extra pressure. I definitely prefer to be TQ.
All right, sounds good. Now, during MultiGP World Cup, he was actually top qualifier, and they had a format called Chase the Ace, which means if Evan Turner went through each of his heats and was the first, they would not have to go through the final round to determine the championships, which he did successfully. So congratulations on being the world first to do something like that. Now, having said that, in each heat, and I've watched you at each heat when you were going up, when you know that you're TQ and that you're the fastest out there, once you start that heat, do you hold back, or do you kind of have like a 90% rule, an 80% rule, or is it just as fast as you can go?
Now, something I like to take advantage of, especially when I'm TQ, is I know that people are nervous, and I try and take advantage of that, especially in the first half lap or something. I try and to get out front early and let people know I'm there, and then that kind of lets people know that they need to catch up, or I'm going to keep going. So it'll kind of force people, especially the guys who are relatively close or who are the same speed or even faster than me. If I can get out ahead of them early and they start pushing, then it could cause them to crash. Especially when I'm the TQ, people are nervous and things like that. So I'll try and get out ahead early, and if I listen to Scully honestly a lot, and if I have a good spotter, I listen to them as well. But if they start going down, then I'll try and slow down here and there, and I won't push myself. But I in the first half lap or even first lap, I'll typically go the same speed I would go in the finals. So that's just my strategy.
Okay, so you do actually slow down if like whoever is second is like, half a lap or a full lap behind, it's time to actually let off the gas.
Yeah, I mean, I fly, even in qualifying, I try and fly as fast as I can consistently. I don't like to go out in qualifying and try and get like miracle laps. I try and fly as fast as I know I can consistently. That way that I can go out there even in like brackets and just fly the same way I did in qualifying. And I know I'll have a good chance of finishing. And I know I can go faster, but it's like even on the regional finals, I was going as fast as I knew I could fly consistently. And I might have been able to push myself and get like a 27-second lap or whatever, but I fly as fast as I can consistently. That way I I don't have to push myself more than I did in qualifying, and that helps me stay consistent. And that means even if somebody is right on me, and if I'm the TQ, I know I can just fly the way I have been. But if everybody else has crashed out and I have no other reason to hurt my battery more than I already do, or break a prop or things like that, I try and just cruise it out.
No, that's great. Okay, so on the final race, okay, this is the finals. You in the Chase the Ace format, you win, you're done, and you go ahead and run that heat, and I mean, finished perfectly. Everything went well for you. As you crossed that finish line, what were you thinking?
It was just kind of like I won the spec race earlier that day. So I considered that a big race for me. And that was something that I was honestly nervous about, because in the spec race I went in the first few days I wasn't able to get comfortable on that spec track. I don't know what it was, but I qualified like 4th or something. So I was pretty nervous, and it was a big race. There were a bunch of big names there, but I was able to win the spec race that day. And when I crossed that finish line, it was kind of like a finally I did it moment. And that wasn't like a big race because not everybody had a spec quad and things like that. So winning the spec race definitely gave me a bunch of confidence going into the World Cup. But as I finished that World Cup track, it was kind of just like a big rush of, like, it kind of was like a flashback of memories of like my first time going back racing and my first race I went to, and just kind of growing like that, and kind of all just flashed there. And that I'd finally done it, and Scully saying like Evan Turner, the World Cup champion, and things like that. It was all just kind of like hard to believe from just trying to remember how I started and things like that, and how many races I'd lost, and how I'd finally been able to do it and beat these guys that I've always wanted to. So it was definitely a really cool experience, and it's something I'll never forget for sure.
Definitely.
Life can be good, brother. Life can be good.
Yeah.
Yep, during that night, which is like basically at that point it was like 4 a.m. in the morning, guys. So it was like really,
it was so late, yeah.
yeah. So everybody was a little wore out, but everybody was chanting Evan's name because everybody knew you were top TQ and you were hunting for that first big win amongst all of the big pilots. As that was happening and you did that, it's like, is there a monkey that you got off your back at that point?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, definitely, there's been every big race I've ever gone to, I've gotten top 10, but I've always seemed to kind of fall apart near the end and or make a costly mistake that I know I shouldn't have. Sebring being the biggest example. This was kind of just like it kind of proved not only that I've been able to keep up with the fastest pilots, but it was really like a race maturity kind of thing that I was able to prove that I'm able to fly consistently and keep up with the guys at the same time. So I was able to not make any stupid mistakes like I did at Sebring with that start-finish gate. I think it proved that I was mature enough to know when to push and know when not to. So that was what I proved to myself. I don't know if it proved that to everybody else, but that's what it felt like I proved to myself, that I was mature enough to win a race, and even when I had all that pressure being the TQ and things like that.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And again, big congratulations on your first big race on the World Cup at MGP IO.
So I'm gonna say congratulations too, because you killed it. I mean, you went out there with an intent to make a point and stand and finish first, and you did that. And hard to conceive that you could do that from the beginning and hold that thought and maintain without crashing out, dude. It was excellent flying. I've seen some of it.
Yeah, thank you. It was tough.
But now, you've been flying for DCL for a little while, right? I mean, has that given you an advantage, you think? Because
I would. I really like to credit DCL for a lot of things. Honestly, maybe not only just being able to handle pressure, because DCL to me is a much bigger stage. It just gets in my head because I've never been in that situation before in a foreign country with all these people watching that I've seen, and like Banny UK and all these guys that are just legends, I guess, in the community. Flying against them it's really a lot of pressure it's put on me, and having a TV camera in my face and all the stage lights and stuff like that.
Yes.
It's really helped me handle the pressure a lot more. And not only that, but flying these big DCL quads has just helped me as a pilot in general. Because these
Just leave them
DCL
lines,
quads
huh?
you have to be competitive in DCL, your lines must be just second to none. And that's really helped me with my 5-inch quads, because that just translates right over to, if you can fly the same lines with your 5-inch quad at speed, then you're going to be unstoppable. And even energy management and flying efficiently. The DCL,
Hmm.
just flying the DCL quads, and I've practiced a lot with those, has helped me an exorbitant amount, I think, with 5-inch quads. And my biggest improvements have come from flying the DCL quad, and my lines have improved, and I've become a smoother pilot, more efficient. So I think
Hmm.
DCL has really, it's been a good thing for me, I think.
Yeah, I noticed that from, I went back and looked at some of your videos from Megadrone,
Mm-hmm.
the two races I actually dubbed you in my DVR. So I
Yeah.
went back and looked at those races, and I saw where you made your mistakes, and
Mm-hmm.
then looked online and looked at a couple of more. And of course, everybody looks at Sebring when it comes down to, you know, watching you make a decision that's not profitable. I mean, that
Yeah.
turned out bad for you. I saw the DCL that your racing looks a lot cleaner. It looks a lot smoother.
Yeah.
And your face was one of the things that I want you to go back and look at. The
Mm-hmm.
look on your face has changed.
Yeah.
You no longer got that little kid smile on your face. You look like a goddamn competitor. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
You got that I'm serious, but I'm ready to have a good time
Oh,
look on
yeah.
your face. And
Mm-hmm.
I want you to keep that because you're in your zone. And right now
Exactly.
you need to keep that
Mm-hmm.
and enjoy that zone riding. And also don't forget, keep them other guys out your head.
Oh, yeah.
You I would almost say he's almost like a natural, but he puts the work in. You know what I mean? What do you call that? Why? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I see a bigger future in the future. You know what I'm saying?
It's a combination of dedication and passion. That's what you need in order to win in sports.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's dive a little bit into DCL. Obviously, DCL is a team event as opposed to a lot of the MGP competitions. What do you think about the
Mm-hmm.
team of the team dynamic? Do you enjoy doing something like this?
Oh yeah, the DCL. I honestly believe that for a live stream and a drone racing standpoint, just to be shown to the public, I believe DCL has the best format. Just because they have like the leaderboard up there, and it's super simple to follow. All the one, like, you get 1 point for winning. There's not any of these, like, I know some of the other, like DRL for example, they have like the mains where they do 10 points and it's 10, 7, 5, 4. I don't even know. It's really hard to follow, honestly. But I
Okay.
think that DCL's format of the 1v1s, and you always know who wins. I mean, there's two colors in the air. Whoever crosses through the finish line first wins, and there's 1 point for their team. So it's super easy to follow for the spectators. And also for the team aspect, I really enjoy that because, it puts more pressure on you just because you want to do well for your team, and we're representing our country, of course, so we want to do well for our country. But it also is like I guess a support system almost, because when you're flying bad in an individual race, it's not that you don't have friends and stuff like that, but and they want you to do well there, but it adds a whole nother level of that kind of idea when you're on a team and they want you to do well, so they do well. I really like that, and as well as the racing is much tighter due to the spec they have, the minimum weight and things like that. So it makes it more exciting for the pilots and the spectators. And I really think that the DCL has a good thing going, and they're doing some great work right now, I think, and they have big things in the future for themselves. They're going in the right direction, in my opinion. So I hope to do more DCL races in the future, next many seasons on from now, and I'm excited. I think they're doing some great things.
Evan, so with the DCL stuff and the team format, I think really you have like a big advantage over the other teams because of how you, Alex, and the rest of the guys, uh, sync up. You guys, I talked to Alex and me and Y, and I a little bit after that, before and after that, and he was describing how you guys talk to each other while flying,
Yeah.
and it's impressive that you guys are doing that, and you've basically kind of learned a new way of conversating to each other while you're flying to help each other out. And that's impressive, man.
Yeah, that's definitely an advantage we have. Is I'm not sure I'm not sure if other teams can do this or not, but we talk to each other pretty often when we fly. We all spot for, at least me and Alex, and I spot for Alex and Andy both at these big races. We kind of have a language, I guess you could say. We know how to talk to each other when we're flying, and we know what we need to do to be successful. And I think when we're able to talk to each other in a team race while flying, it's really a big advantage because we're able to know when to hold back and when the other guy's in first. Because when we're flying, there's 8 quads in the air, and it's kind of hard to see all the different colors in the FPV feed. We can know if we're all 4 and like fifth through eighth, or if we're first through fourth. So we need to know if we need to push, or if there's one guy left that we need to pass. And also, if
Mm-hmm.
we're all in fourth, we need to, or all first through fourth, we can tell each other, like, no need to pass. Like, we're already in first through fourth, so don't try and make any dumb mistakes. And so I think it's definitely a big advantage for us.
Definitely. Awesome. So, like, when you're spotting for somebody else, like, what is the type of information you want to hear or you're telling to your pilot?
Well, I think I've spotted for lots of different people, and I think one thing that's helped me become a better spotter, and even things like tone of voice and like how fast you're talking, things like that, is what defines like a good spotter. And I've through what I do through planes and IMAC, we have to call the sequences, so you have a caller with you all the time. And I've called, and you have to call the maneuvers and keep them calm and things like that. And it's a lot of pressure, especially when you're flying a $10,000 airplane, and you need to
Right.
stay calm and you need to keep your pace up and things like that with planes. So I 100% credit to me being able to be a decent spotter to planes. And I think when I'm flying, or when other people are flying and I'm spotting, it really, there's not like a set thing or information to give them. You just want to keep them calm, and of course let them know where traffic is and stuff. But when they're out front, you just want to let them know, just like keep them calm. Just even like things such as like just complimenting them on their lines. Like, as long as you have
Mm-hmm.
positive things running through there, and they think like, and they know that they're doing well, and you're letting them know that, it'll really just help them stay smooth, and they're not getting nervous. Because when they're flying, they might be hard on themselves and things like that, and which could cause them to crash if they don't think they're doing their best, and they could do better.
Right.
They might start doing worse. So I think that, like in planes, so if you zero maneuver is what we call it, is, or if you do like the incorrect maneuver and things like that, and the pilot always knows they messed up, and they're pissed off. So
Yeah.
one thing is we always say is just all tens from here. So the
Right.
way, and just get back into it. Who cares about that? It's all tens from here. So I kind of translate that to quads. If somebody clips a gate, and they're falling back and everybody's way ahead, then I just kind of try and get them back into their zone and not to let them worry, and to let them know that the only thing they have to do right now is just do what they do, and they're going to catch up. And just slowly but surely, some guys can't always, but if they just get back into their zone and do what they did best, and that's all they can do. Just at quad races, they just got to fly as best they can. So being a spotter and letting them know that and keeping them calm it's really helpful. So when I'm spotting, I try and let them know of traffic, and traffic's really the only thing you have to worry about, traffic and where they are, and the rest is just kind of dependent on the pilot and how the race is going.
So, when you're the pilot and say Alex Campbell is your spotter, what is the type of information that you generally like to know? Is it just your position in traffic?
Yeah, well, Alex, we both come from planes, so we kind of know this, that we have the same style, I guess, of spotting, which is super helpful because he calls exactly or he spots exactly how I want him to and I need him to. So he always lets me know of traffic and things like that. From then on, he's just, if I get out ahead early, and he'll just let me know how far I am ahead. And then from then on, he's just keeping me calm and things like that. Just tell me that, all right, that's one lap down. Let's do another one just like that. Things like that. We really kind of know
Motivation.
what we want. Yeah, exactly.
It's motivation.
So it's really just the simple things like spotting and things like that. But from then on, it's just keeping each other calm and trying to finish out that race.
I did some calling for a couple of guys a couple of years ago, and I really enjoyed it. I like the tempo, and for 3D helicopter competition, I did some calling for FAI too a couple of years before that, and it's really a unique thing, for a lot of guys, but it's very informational. You keep it short. You keep it smooth. No spiky inputs. No, whoa, oh, look out. None of that. You don't say stuff like that. You say the ground is coming up. Stuff like that. And we understand that when you're flying in those different attitudes. But one of the things I want to talk about is, dude, like you've been killing it with everything else, like airplanes, drones. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, you just finished off in one of the biggest airplane competitions in the world. Dude, congratulations on that too.
Well, yeah, thank
How
you.
do you do this?
I started out with planes, 7 or 8 years ago now, and
Right.
it's something that I've had a passion for a long time, and I've practiced for a long time, and countless hours of going to practice. And honestly, and then getting into quads, planes really helped me with just knowing how to get better and knowing how to keep my cool and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really think flying planes previously gave me an advantage of quads. And honestly, I'll be totally honest, going into this last plane competition, I flew my plane. I had 6 flights. I had one session, 6 flights in the last 3 or 4 months. So I practiced little to none compared to these other guys. And I haven't gone to a plane competition or like a local one in a long time. So no one was worried about me going into this world competition. And it was really, and I think it was kind of quads helped me back, So I was able to keep my cool and really just focus on doing, like I've been nervous before at these plane competitions, and I think these quads really helped me. I was not nervous at all, and I think other guys were at this big plane competition, as there might be their first big or competition and things like that. So I think that just being able to keep my calm and kind of treat it as like something that I would do for fun really helped me just keep my lines where I needed them to be. And, my past practice really just came in, and I was able to just use the skill that I previously honed, and, it all kind of fell into place, and it all kind of worked out. And so I think that just not thinking that it was really the biggest stage I'd ever been on, because with quads, I've been on TV and things like that, and that's way more pressure. I put way more pressure on myself there. And going into an event like this where I was not nervous at all, and I was just able to just truly treat it like I was flying in my backyard, it was just really to help me. And, as far as just how I'm able to keep my skills and things like that, I really don't know. I think after you do something for a certain amount of time, it's really like riding a bike. And it took me, I had those 6 practice flights the weekend before I left for the Worlds, and it helped me, and I was able to get back in my zone there, and, all kind of worked out.
Yeah, because you're I don't know if everybody knows. I mean, what we were talking about earlier with the calling out and they call out maneuvers for you, and you do them, and how fluid you do them is how well you're graded on, and you're also graded on how well you transition from maneuver to maneuver. because you can get a bad call or a bad mix in maneuvers, and whether you respond aggressively or smoothly depends on whether or not you get graded badly in the beginning of the maneuver, and then toward the end it might even out. But you don't want it going in the negative right off the bat. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, so what I'm saying is you did that by line of sight. I mean,
Yeah.
the drone stuff is by FPV, first person view. You see the position you are, and that's how you can fly through the gates. This is different. You're standing up outside or out in the open, and you're flying a plane that's long. Wingspan is longer than you. It weighs about what? What do your plane weighs now? I mean,
it weighs like 46 pounds, I think.
46 pounds. So that's real close to that's 46 pounds of wood, balsa, and carbon, and a big engine up front, right?
Oh, yeah.
What size engine is that?
It's a Desert Aircraft DA 200. It's a 200 cc. So it's got 4 cylinders, and it's a big chunk of metal, but it's a powerhouse for sure.
It is definitely a powerhouse. I've never owned anything that big. Sorry, sir. But, I mean, I got a DA 100, and, it does what it's supposed to do. But the thing is that you're flying. It's a whole nother discipline. This is what I'm trying to get to. Is to learn to fly the way you do and perform the way you have with line of sight stuff. And then FPV stuff they're two totally different things, but they do complement each other. I do want to say that. I mean, I do come from that background, both backgrounds. I'm a multidiscipline pilot, and I know you are, and you are right now in the world. To me, you're the epitome of the multi-talented pilot. I mean, you've competed on a drone FPV level with some of the best pilots in the world, and you're ranked in the top. The team that you're on is ranked in the top 3. You are ranked as right now number 1 in the world for multi-GP, I believe, if I can remember exactly. And I think in the world you're like top 3 pilots in the world. I think is heads up FPV. This is hard to do. I mean, this is what I'm trying to get to right now, is to do these things. It takes dedication. It takes practice. It takes persistence. It takes focus. It takes staying locked in, having great support. These things have you've done well with, and I must commend you on all the multiple disciplines. I mean, are you about to break out a helicopter now? I mean, is that I would pay to see you race. I mean, seriously, I'm at that point with you. I know it's going to be good, and as long as I get my pit pass to come down and shake your hand after the race and talk shit with your dad, I'm good to
go. Speaking of that, hey, we follow you guys on Facebook. I think you need to get your dad to replace the front seat of your car with a couch or something, because you're always exhausted. That's one of the things that we see all the time. You're passed out.
Yeah, I think my dad has like thousands of pictures of me asleep, and it's honestly kind of creepy if you think about it. But at the same time, yeah, like we always make jokes like if it's an hour or longer, I'm out. Like check out there. Me and my dad, we go to all these races together, and it's something we enjoy doing, and we've done it since I was a little 7-year-old, and we've gotten to. It's definitely a good bonding experience, and my dad and my parents, and everyone in my family has supported me a lot through all this, and it's something that I would definitely do again. Doing this through this RC experience, and doing all this
Mhm.
practice and things like that. And but yeah, it's I get my license. Let me think. And like, I get my license in February. So I'm kind of regretting that because I know as soon as I do, my dad's gonna be wanting me to drive so he can sleep. And I know he's gonna take advantage of it. The first big trip we're going on, he's gonna let me drive, and he's gonna purposely just sleep as much as he can. So
Oh my
he's
God.
definitely gonna get his payback soon down the road. I don't doubt it.
Hey, we expect that creepy dad shot of him sleeping. Okay, I'm just telling you.
Oh,
Right, yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt. I
From
will.
from
Yeah, I'll get him
from
back.
down low, so we can see them
Ah.
ears.
Oh no, no. Okay, I just want that shot because it would be vastly amusing. Cool, man. I appreciate you coming back on and catching up with you, especially
Yeah.
getting all of that great knowledge, that racing knowledge, and as a congratulatory for winning all of these events, because it is very difficult, and you definitely have matured. You really have the nerves that you need right now to really continue forward and make your name in the RC world. So for anybody who doesn't know you, who wants to reach out to you or just talk to you or follow you on Facebook, where can they find you?
Yeah, you can. My Instagram is Heads Up FPV.
Yep.
Just the only thing that's capitalized is the H in the beginning. My YouTube channel is the exact same. You can find me on Facebook as Evan Turner. I have guys message me all the time talking to me about setup, how they can get better at racing, how their lines are, their practice day. And I'm happy to answer any of your questions. So if you guys, you can feel free to message me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'm happy to talk to you guys. And even if it's just like, can you watch my DVR and tell me how my lines are? What can I improve on? I'm happy to, and I do it all the time, and I enjoy doing it. So, you guys are welcome to. So, yeah, just you can find me there. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, I guess, and that's it.
All right, sounds good. And definitely keep an eye out. He's going to be back in DCL for Brussels, and of course, there's going to be multi-GP champs rearing its head in December. So definitely keep an eye out for him. Give him a follow, and we'll definitely catch up at the end of the year to see where he's at.
Yep.
All right, Evan. Thank you so much for the time, man.
All right, thank you guys. Good time.